Hi guys, Nathan here. This is just a very quick video on some sort of fast conversion rate optimization tips that you can sort of execute and add to your website. So this is just my sort of personal, I guess, sort of checklist type thing that I just sort of run through on most of our sort of web pages that I either do for myself or for clients. And I just thought I'd share it sort of very quickly. So number one is to repeat call to actions. I usually aim for 3 on a website and sort of space them out quite evenly. So in the hero section, I'll often display a call to action. Then after going through the initial sort of features and benefits, after this we'll display one, and then also in the sort of footer section, we'll display a call to action. Next up is don't talk about what features do, talk about how they improve the customer's life. So here's what our product, for example, you want to actually be selling the benefits of what the features actually deliver. So there's sort of quite a fine sort of balance of doing this, and it requires a lot of sort of testing within your sort of copywriting to really sort of get it done very well. Here's what our product can do, and here's what you can do with our product. As much as it sounds very similar, it's a completely different approach, and you're sort of putting the user first by saying, here's what you can actually achieve with our product. Next up is put a verb in the headline. Give the value of the product in the headline as well. You have really about 5 to 7 seconds to capture a visitor's attention before they abandon your website forever. So you want to do that as effectively as possible by sort of really explaining the value that you deliver as simply as possible within the headline to give the user a reason to continue scrolling. You can also explore things like power words, such as free, instant, today. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but you can definitely Google them, or I can put a link to it in the description. Power words really, they're the most powerful words that sort of resonate with people. So definitely play around with them in your conversion rate optimization testing. Offer the unique selling point and sort of show why you're better, and try to do this sort of very early on within the website. So we try to express what's sort of unique and desirable about Notifier by explaining the fact that we've combined sort of 30 different website marketing tools into one platform, which enables us to deliver more value to our users. Whenever you're sort of writing copy as well, I sort of tend to go through it and just sort of think, if I landed on this website, would I convert? Is this something that would sort of capture my attention and convince me to enter my credit card details and purchase this product? So that's sort of quite a good mindset to have whenever you're writing sort of website text. Go through it yourself and ask yourself, so what? Is this something that would really sort of make me purchase? Also, writing as simply as possible. There's a very good book here I have actually called Making Websites Win. I definitely recommend reading it. And they say to write all of your website copy as if you're talking to a drunk toddler, like a drunk child. You don't really want to put in sort of long buzzwords and sort of techie terms because really it doesn't work. You want to make the writing as simple and clear as possible. And whilst it sounds quite easy to do, really that is an art form in itself, as I've discovered. So yeah, make it really as simple as possible. Show the users why they should care about your product, and don't leave them to connect the dots. You need the writing to be as simple as it possibly can be. I've also noticed, as much as I don't apply this myself on Notifier, centering your headline and centering your sort of hero text. In general, actually delivers better results in having it positioned on the left and right, so that's definitely something worth testing. Phrases like "has never been easier" are sort of very powerful ways to explain the sort of value that you deliver. For example, it's never been easier to increase your conversions, never been easier to build high converting websites. Things like that we sort of test with Notifier quite frequently and deliver good results for us. Yeah, make sure that everything sounds easy in the call to action. It's easy to set up. Obviously, we have a software platform which has sort of quite high friction in terms of onboarding users. it's not just a case of entering credit card details. They have to actually copy and paste the script onto their website. So trying to reduce the friction from this as much as possible and say that it can be set up in 30 seconds really sort of helps us with conversions, which it can be. Also, for us to sort of combat this, we've built out native plugins on WordPress and a number of other platforms, and we're rolling out sort of more and more to constantly make it easier for people to install on WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, and all the other sort of major platforms. Another great strategy is to show what makes you better than your obvious competitors. So if there are a lot of big names in the industry that people recognize, for example, for us, it's people like OptinMonster, Sumo.com. They're very sort of well-known and respected companies within the sort of SaaS marketing, MarTech space. So if we can sort of clearly deliver value on what makes us better and how we're able to deliver more value to our users than OptinMonster can, then it helps us convert, and we can also then specifically target OptinMonster customers and try to migrate them over to Notify. The Crazy Egg homepage is something that I often sort of go back and reference to. I'm actually going to add Hotjar as well. I actually used to work for Hotjar, so I'm an ex-employee there, and they're both conversion rate optimization tools. They do a ton of testing on their landing pages, and they're both sort of really good, clear examples on how to sort of structure a landing page, how to explain fairly sort of complex products. So it's always a good idea to sort of reference back to people who are doing it well and try and improve on it. This is a very important one as well. Every new field you add is halving your conversion rate, is quite an interesting statistic that I found online. So by making a landing page sort of too long and giving sort of information overload, it's actually often going to do sort of more harm than good. Of course, if the information is genuinely required there in order to explain the product, then keep it there. But when reviewing your landing page, you should really be quite harsh on, is this information really needed, or is it just sort of waffling on? Can it be consolidated down into more concise and precise, simply explained information? And always sort of aim to achieve that. For example, I'm currently redesigning our landing page, which is part of the motivation of making this video. And I'm going to be sort of shortening it quite a lot, sort of taking out some of the fluff, so to speak, that I had in there originally, the information that wasn't always 100% necessary, but I just felt it sort of sounded good. And I'm going to be reducing the length of our landing page by about 40%. So it's going to be just over half the size that it originally was. Another interesting fact, state the percentage of people who received an increase in whatever you're doing. So for example, with us with conversion rates, rather than saying 15,000 people increase their conversion rates, if we say 97% of people rated us 5 stars, or 97% of people increase their conversions by 15% or more, this has actually delivered much better results in our sort of A/B testing. So it's definitely something worth exploring. This is quite an obvious one, but as always, display facts research to back up your statement. I'm also going to add reviews in there and testimonials, as these are some of the most powerful ways to increase conversions. Every message that you send to customers shows how you feel and treat them. And this goes into sort of Drift marketing playbook. If you haven't read it, it's quite an interesting playbook. You can find it online, and it just basically explains everything is marketing, everything from sort of customer support to like even the things that you sort of least expect is giving an image of your brand. So the reason that this is actually in the in this particular section is if you have, for example, intercom or some sort of live support on your website, I really try to capture the sort of customer's voice, listen to how they talk about your product, listen to how they explain your product and how they talk about certain features, and try and replicate this on your landing page. If you can explain a product from an existing customer's mindset on their view of the product, it can help to deliver sort of more engaging messaging. Next up, we go back to the original principle of capture the visitor's attention as fast as possible. Make your website as easily digestible as possible. This goes into the sort of clear writing, as we mentioned. Always give a reason for people to sign up. there was a very interesting experiment in Influence, Psychology of Persuasion, which is also another very good book that I recommend purchasing, on sort of psychological principles behind persuading people to purchase. And they actually gave the experiment when people were asking to skip the line to use a copying machine in an office. There was a very long line. And if someone simply said, "Do you mind if I go in front of you?" Majority of the time they said no. But if they said, "Do you mind if I go in front of you? I'm in a rush for a doctor's appointment or something," it was something like a 90% people would say yes. But on top of that, they actually gave a reason that was completely irrelevant. So they would say, do you mind if I get to the front? I need to go and get some water, which really isn't relevant to you being in a rush, but it still had the same number of people saying yes. So by giving people a reason to actually sign up and convert and take action on your website, this can actually deliver a huge, huge increase in the number of signups that you receive. A funny example of this is I actually tested. Because we ask for credit cards when users sign up. This is really just to filter out the number of support requests that we receive, as we're just a sort of small team. At this point in time, we just want to let in people who are sort of serious about using the product and becoming potential customers. We can't sort of open the floodgates for the masses at the moment. And by simply giving a reason as to why we collect the credit card details on the sign up page, we received a 37, I believe it was 37% off the top of my head, increase in the number of people who entered their credit cards. So by giving people a reason for, even just while you're asking for information, this is a very sort of interesting test. You could even add this on your sort of sign up page, not even just promoting benefits as to why people should sign up, but giving information on why you need people's email addresses to keep in touch with them, to deliver updates on the product, and things like that, could potentially increase your conversion rates. So yeah, definitely something worth testing. And finally, use personalization wherever possible. This is, in my opinion, the leading way to sort of increase conversion rates, and it's becoming a sort of heavily invested in industry at the moment. A few of our competitors are releasing sort of personalization tools, which are incredibly powerful. And over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, I believe this is going to be the largest sort of impact that we see within sort of marketing and conversion rate optimizations. If you can completely tailor a landing page experience to an individual user, you're always going to see much higher engagement and conversion rates. So yeah, there we go. That's just my sort of quick checklist, I should say, rather than guide, on conversion rate optimization that I sort of go through. This is also my sort of Notion document, so I'm going to be going through a lot of sort of content here that I've sort of saved over the years. I've read literally hundreds of books, hundreds of courses. There's even hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of information in here that I'm sort of going to share for free, and tens and thousands of hours of sort of going through the internet, looking up all sorts of marketing strategies, testing everything, seeing what works, what doesn't. And I'm just going to be sort of making videos and sort of sharing these with you guys on the YouTube channel. So we'll be seeing a lot of sort of content from here in the near future. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.